the real reason your D&D combat sucks and 4 ways to fix it. It's hard to make good combat. At its core lies a paradox of game design. Faster combat is more exciting, but interesting combat is slower and more complicated. Every dungeon master has the opportunity to fine-tune combat according to the players around their table. Here are 4 approaches I use to make my combat encounters more memorable. Make combat faster. This is the most appropriate solution for unimportant scenes and random encounters. To make combat faster, we can attack 2 primary problems: the length of the turns each player takes and the number of rounds in the overall battle. I love using a 1-minute timer for the turn of each player, including myself as the dungeon master. Once your players get used to making fast decisions, you can stop timing their turns and still get most of the effect. The number of turns for a good combat in 5e is between 3 and 5 turns. Every player gets to show off their abilities and cool ideas, but it doesn't turn into a slog. In Magic the Gathering, there is a concept called the timer. Basically, it signifies how many turns it will take one player to defeat the other if they just keep attacking. In D&D combat, there are 2 important timers. How many turns does the party need to kill the enemy, and how many turns the monsters need to kill the party. Give your monsters enough HP to only survive the player attacks for 4 or at maximum 5 turns. Now, give them enough damage that they will kill the party in 5 to 6 turns. This will give your battle a sense of urgency without pushing the party beyond their limits. I find tracking initiative is a bit of a chore, and it also slows down the flow of combat. So I usually use an alternative approach. Nothing beats going around the table in a clockwise direction. Most board games already use this approach. Lately, I've been using the method outlined in Shadow Dark. Everyone rolls initiative as normal, the player with the highest roll starts, and you go clockwise from there. Give your monsters special abilities. Combat in D&D and most tabletop RPGs is about exhausting the resources of the other side. A lot of the time, this boils down to hitting each other in the face until one side runs out of hit points. But HP is not the only resource in play. There is also the action economy, the probability of player attacks succeeding, the movement and the positioning of everyone on the battlefield. By attacking different resources and creating different challenges, you can create a more varied experience for the players. The best books to check out are the upcoming Flee Mortals and Forge of Foes. Give your monsters special abilities that force the players to approach combat in a different way. Just recently, I was a player in a Numenera campaign. The party met strange beings made out of sticky black fluid. They were exact copies of our loved ones. We tried attacking them, but they didn't take any damage in the first round. We gradually discovered that each of us need to attack the loved ones of the other player characters, and not our own. This was a simple enough but fun twist to the encounter. Personally, I love doing area of effect damage that gives 1 or 2 turns of warning before going off. This forces the players to move around the battlefield. For many more inspirations, check out video games like Hades and Hollow Knight. Use more advanced tactics. Even if you decide to use entirely standard enemies from the monster manual, you can still make your encounters fun by using advanced tactics. In D&D 4e, monsters had an assigned role. These included artillery, brutes, controllers, lurkers, minions, skirmishers, and soldiers. By mixing and matching just 2 of these types, you can make very interesting combat encounters. Pick a brute to stand in the front and block the movement of the players. Meanwhile, attack them with an artillery of archers or casters from the back. Another great setup is to have the party swimming in an ocean of minions that die from a single attack. Meanwhile, controller monsters can split the party with physical barriers or hazards, and make it much harder for members of the party to help each other. A great book on the subject is The Monsters Know What They're Doing by Keith Amon. Set your fights in fantastic locations. Strange and unexpected terrain can make every battle more interesting. Sly Flourish often talks about building fantastic locations as the space where your encounters take place. This includes interesting descriptions that defy your player's expectations, but it also includes making interesting terrain features for the party to exploit and overcome. The simplest version of this is the addition of points with high ground around the battle map. Archers can shoot from there with advantage, and they're also much harder to reach for melee fighters. Another popular addition is zones that modify the casting of spells. Perhaps standing in a rune circle on the ground doubles the damage of certain spells, or there is an area of the battlefield where no spells can be cast from. Think about the abilities of the characters in your party. Add opportunities that will allow the players to modify them, use them in unusual ways, or increase their strength. Each of these methods can make your combats faster or more engaging, but it's also important to properly pace your game by allowing your players to explore the world in their own style. Make sure they don't miss anything important by using abstract secrets and clues. Learn more about how to use them in this video.